They literally could not have scripted the past 8 days better.
Following the visit also is our Ankara correspondent, Sarah Rainsford. She joins us now from Istanbul as well. Sarah, just talking about what Barack Obama perhaps would like from Turkey, how would he see their role regionally changing from the role that they had under the Bush administration?
Well, I think it's rather more about the attitudes and increasing cooperation between the two countries. The war in Iraq really did serious damage to the relationship between these two countries and a number of other disagreements, including a perception here in Turkey that America wasn't giving enough support to its fight against Kurdish separatists, the PKK, which has bases in northern Iraq. Turkey really felt America wasn't helping in that. Things did change towards the end of the Bush presidency, so the relationship between the two did warm up a little. But this is now, under Barack Obama, all about a new page, a new era, ending the suspicion, the distrust that there was between the two countries, and trying to move forward with a lot of, as Mr. Obama called it, mutual respect and understanding. So that's the message that he's been sending out. As you say, these pictures being played out across the country and across the world from inside the Blue Mosque behind me here will also help reinforce that message. It's a little bit of a shame, I think, that the President hasn't had any chance here to meet real people on the streets. This visit's taking place under tight security. All of this area is closed off to the public. There are a few tourists on the roofs of hotels here watching over the square, hoping to catch a glimpse of Mr. Obama, but not able to get very close at all. But the general mood is extremely positive towards this visit, and really, not so much really on the details, but just on the fact he's here at all, and so early in his presidency.
The Alliance for Civilization, which is taking place today, I mean, what involvement is he having in that? Because the former Iranian President Khatami, I think, is in Istanbul at the moment. Might there be any meeting between the former president and President Obama?
If there is, it's certainly not been officially mentioned so far. There was some discussion about President Obama attending this meeting, the Alliance of Civilizations meeting. That then changed. He did attend a reception on Monday evening and met with a number of people there. I think most significantly from this perspective here where I am is the ministers of Armenia and of Turkey. Of course, there are great differences between Turkey and Armenia. There are no diplomatic relations between the two. The border is closed. There's the whole issue of history, 1915, the alleged genocide, the mass killings of Armenians by Ottoman Turks then. All those things on the table. I think that meeting was significant. As to any meetings with Iranian figures, as far as we know, nothing officially is happening there.
Sarah, do we know what was discussed in more detail yesterday? Because Turkey, one of the only Muslim countries with relations with Israel, they've been trying to broker sort of deals with Syria. They've also been involved with the Palestinians. Was that on the table yesterday?
Well, yesterday was meetings, of course, as you know, with the Turkish President Abdullah Gül and with the Prime Minister, as well as that historic address to the Turkish Parliament. And we do know from the address in Parliament that all of those issues are important to this relationship, and therefore I believe they were discussed. The regional significance of Turkey does lie very much in its unique position as a country with ties with all its neighbours, and of course, as you say, with Israel and America, a country which has the second largest army in NATO. So obviously of huge significance, particularly important, of course, with the President Obama's aim of withdrawing all the American troops from Iraq in the next few months. Turkey is right on the border with Iraq. The easiest or perhaps the cheapest way to bring those troops out might be through Turkey. So, of course, that relationship is important. And, of course, what the relationship is between Turkey and Iraq going forward. Both America and Turkey would like to see a stable and united Iraq going forward. Turkey will have an important role to play in ensuring that that's the case after the American troops withdraw from there. And as you mentioned, the peace talks, the negotiations taking place between Syria and Israel were also something in which Turkey played a key role until the Gaza invasion led to those talks being disrupted.
Sarah, thank you very much. Just a final thought from Adam as we look at these pictures of Barack Obama in the Blue Mosque, and just hearing from Sarah there how pivotal an ally Turkey is for the United States and indeed the West throughout the Muslim world. Do you think it has now been reinforced, this idea that Turkey is not going to be taken for granted by the United States, especially when you contrast that perhaps with the relationship between Turkey and the rest of the EU, and in particular France and Germany, who's made it pretty clear that there are still very many, great many obstacles to membership of the EU club?
And I think what's interesting is is that Obama's message has been uncompromising. He thinks that, and he's publicly stated this on several occasions, he thinks that Turkey should be a member of the EU, and we're obviously many, many years away from that happening. But as you say, it runs counter to strongly held opinions in France and Germany, and I think the legacy of this visit and this message, will be long-lasting. But we're not going to see Turkey join the EU in the near future. But that process is underway. It's got a lot of major hurdles to overcome. But this is certainly a shove in that direction, no question.
Adam, thank you for those insights as we see Barack Obama there and the Turkish Prime Minister Erdogan visiting the Blue Mosque with its dome, its minarets, thousands of hand-painted blue tiles as President Obama has his last day of his overseas tour in Istanbul.
Regarding his business or his personal history.
So some people might say, wait, I thought you were opposed to the war. Why don't you just get them all out right away? Well, just because I was opposed at the outset, it doesn't mean that I don't have now responsibilities to make sure that we do things in a responsible fashion.
Let's just pull away from this town hall meeting with President Obama in Istanbul, just to bring you up to date with a few developments elsewhere in the world. Let's just start with what's happening in L'Aquila in central Italy in the moment, because in the last few minutes a strong aftershock has hit that area. It was felt as far away as Rome, apparently, where furniture swayed on the upper floors of buildings. Now, it's not clear if this aftershock had caused any further damage, substantial damage in the area, but you can see the problems that these rescue teams are facing there, not only with the hundreds, thousands of tons of collapsed masonry there, but also the risk of aftershocks.
Just to also bring you up to date with that breaking news from Germany, from the southern city of Landshut, we have heard that a gunman has killed at least 2 people. Several more were injured. This is at a courthouse in southern Bavaria. Police say the gunman is among the dead, and the police spokesman Leonard Mayer has been speaking to the media. He says the courthouse has been evacuated, and there is also some word that possibly 4 people have been seriously wounded, although authorities are not confirming that number. But what police seem to be able to confirm now is that a gunman has killed at least 2 people at a courthouse in Landshut, and the gunman himself is dead as well.
Some news also from Jerusalem. Israeli police deployed in East Jerusalem have shot and killed the driver of a car that tried to run them down. This was during the demolition of a Palestinian home today. We'll bring you more on all those stories at the top of the hour. Let's return, though, now to Istanbul, where President Obama is still taking questions from students there.
In Pakistan and Afghanistan, so that they see a different path. And so my policies will be somewhat different, but I don't make any apologies for continuing the effort to prevent bombs going off or planes going into buildings that would kill innocents. I don't think any society can justify that. And so, as I said, 4 years from now or 8 years from now, you can look back and you can see maybe what he did wasn't that different. Hopefully you'll come to the conclusion that what I did made progress.